Now that the beta is live, I could finally bring you guys some Titanfall footage. I was lucky enough to be in the alpha test, so I know a lot about this game that I want to share with you guys that also might be lucky like a leprechaun and gotten a beta key. Now remember, things may have changed since I played the alpha, so some of this video, while it might not be 100% accurate, is still a great primer for you guys to play the game. I put in about 10 hours worth of testing with the alpha, so I know my shit. Let's get started here. This game plays similar to Call of Duty and Battlefield in terms of the controls. There are some subtle differences though. The right bumper is to use your ordnance, which is either your standard frag grenade or an arc grenade, which will not only damage your opponent, it'll scramble up their screen like a microwave, as you can see here. Additionally, you could cook your grenades like in Call of Duty, unlike in Battlefield, but be careful, don't hold on for too long like the cars. The left bumper will use your tactical ability. In the alpha, we had access to the cloak, which is kind of like the active camouflage in Halo or the cloak in Crisis, and we had stim, which boosts movement and health regeneration. There's a bar in the left-hand side of the middle of the HUD, and this will deplete when using your ability, and it will show it recharging. I'll get into the HUD a little bit later. The cloak is really useful for running towards objectives, or when you're out in the open and want to evade the battle going on beside you. Clicking in the right stick, or B if you aren't a nub and use the tactical layout, will do a drop kick attack just like Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels from the Rockers, unless you're directly behind an opponent. Then instead you'll assassinate him by twisting his neck just like he's that bitch from The Exorcist. If you sneak up behind a Spectre, you could actually hit X to hack them to turn them onto your team. I'll get into the different types of soldiers a little bit later on in this primer as well. When you die, you can hit the A button to respawn, and if you have a Titan out on the map somewhere that's in auto mode, you could actually choose to spawn into the Titan instead of on the ground as a pilot. Down on the D-pad will deploy your Titan in the spot in which you are looking. There's actually a green hue on the ground where your Titan will deploy. Once your Titan has landed, you can either embark it or put it in auto mode. If you hold down X, you could get onto it. If it's in auto mode, you could hit down on the D-pad to change its mode from defending to following and vice versa. I'll get more into Titans later as they have radically different controls than the pilots, but left on the D-pad will also bring out your anti-Titan weapon, which I'll go over more in depth later. The new mechanics in this game are the double jump and the wall run / hang. Just like Samus in Metroid, you can do a double jump by hitting A while you're in midair. If you time your jump so that you're at the apex of your first jump when you hit A the second time, you can evade enemy fire or reach a higher point on the map. Additionally, when your character is facing a wall, you could click the left stick to run on the wall, but make sure that your left stick is kind of pointed in the direction of the wall at the same time. While you're wall running, you could jump off the wall and then back onto it again to continue wall running. In this manner, you could scale walls with ease. You could also jump onto the lip of the roof or a wall and pull yourself up using the A button. These new mechanics are what's going to separate the men from the boys. If you can master these, you'll be able to shit on your enemies and flush the fucking toilet with them down the drain. You can also get up to higher points on the map. Now, high vantage point is always good when in an FPS game. You're always better off shooting down at someone than shooting up at someone. Additionally, some of the AI can't really get on top of buildings, so you could kill those guys much easier, and you'll be able to see multiple Titans out on the map from your higher vantage point. So use the wall run and jump and the double jumps to your ability. You could customize both your pilot, which are the player characters, as opposed to the grunts and specters, which are the AI characters, and your Titan. The grunts are the characters that are actually going to be staying on the ground the whole time, and they're fucking horrible. The specters are not as bad, but they're still really bad. However, they could climb on top of buildings and jump and stuff like that. So those are the difference between those two types of AI. Now, going into the customization of your pilot, there's your primary weapon, of which we could only choose an AR, an SMG, a shotgun, a sniper, and a smart pistol, of which is very different than any other weapon I've experienced before. The smart pistol will auto-lock onto multiple targets at a short distance, and you just have to pull the trigger to kill enemies. No need to even ADS. It will kill the AI in like 1 or 2 shots because it auto-locks on a headshot, and it takes a few more shots to actually kill the pilots. Additionally, it's got a built-in silencer for you to stay off the radar, be in silence and violence just like a bad boy. You can see the black curvy lines pointing to the enemies that have been targeted, and a red box will light up when it's time to shoot. Yup, it's the fucking target finder all over again. Now personally, I don't think it's that overpowered because it does take a few bullets to kill the actual pilots in the game, and it doesn't lock on for a short distance. However, I don't like the fact that this gun basically does all of the work for you, and I'll go more in depth later in my video that I'll put out later about my first thoughts on Titanfall. But personally, I love the assault rifle in this game. The maps are bigger than the Call of Duty size and some of the Battlefield TDM Dom size maps. Therefore, the assault rifle is ideal for those long-range engagements, but it's also good for tight quarters in the hardpoint domination game mode. Sniping in this game is very different than in Call of Duty, as the scope renders from the top down, and it seems to me, as you're watching in the background here, quick scoping isn't really possible with this ADS mechanic on the snipers. You actually cannot shoot the gun until the full scope is rendered, so that kind of flapping mechanic makes it such that you can't actually shoot while not ADS'd in with the sniper rifle. But I am a terrible sniper, so I am sure that once somebody who actually knows how to snipe gets their hands on it, we'll see just how broken this mechanic actually can be. You could have up to 2 attachments on the guns themselves, and they unlock via challenges like headshots and killing just multiple shit at a time. The sidearm is a pistol, which you could use the Y button to switch to. Additionally, in the alpha, there was the Sidewinder, which is your machine gun, and the Heavy Rocket, which is the rocket launcher, as the anti-Titan weapons. I prefer the Sidewinder because it could damage both Titans and pilots, plus the Heavy Rocket, it takes a little bit to lock onto the Titan, and it's a much longer reload time than the Sidewinder. When you're a pilot, do not, I repeat, do not take on a Titan unless you also have a friendly Titan engaging it. This way, you'll kind of fly under the radar, kind of like a dark horse in the March Madness tournaments. Chances are the enemy Titan will be way too busy with your Titan to worry about you on the ground or on a building. There's also 2 kit tiers. In the first tier, there's a choice between the Advanced Parkour Kit, which allows you to wall run and wall hang for an increased amount of time. The Ordnance Kit, which increases the amount of explosives you have that you could throw with RB, and the Power Cell, which decreases your recharge time for your tactical ability, which is used with the left bumper. For Tier 2, the choices were the Dome Shield, which encapsulates your Titan for a short period of time when it lands on the battle space, shielding it from any incoming damage, and the Minion Detector, which will show both friendly and enemy AI at all times on the minimap. Lastly, you could change your gender of your pilot. I'm not sure what this buys you, other than if you're a lonely dude that really wants to be a chick, you could finally be one. Now let's go over the HUD, since I mentioned the minimap like 2 sentences ago, which is in the upper left-hand corner. The grunts and specters, which are the AI, are tiny little dots. The pilots are sort of teardrop shape, and the Titans are arrows. Blue is your friendly stuff, red is your enemy stuff. If you have a Titan in auto mode, it will appear as a grayish arrow on your minimap. The red arrow on your HUD will indicate the direction from which you're being shot when you take damage. Also, there's a grenade indicator as well in yellow. The scoreboard is in the lower right-hand corner with the team that you're on being on top. In the bottom middle is the bar for recharging your tactical ability that I talked about earlier, plus the amount of ordnances you have left. The kill feed is on the middle of the right-hand side of the screen. And then to the right of that and below is the weapon area. It'll give you an indication of how much ammo is left in your clip, plus how many clips you have. Additionally, it'll tell you your current anti-Titan weapon, and in the extreme lower right is your Titan status. Now, the Titan is basically the pilot's point streak, if you will. Every time you get points, the Titan countdown will diminish by a number of seconds, with the timer also going down naturally, just like a cheap hooker. When you start the game, every player has 4 minutes on the clock for their their Titan to fall. Eventually this time will run out like an episode of Face Off, and you'll get your Titanfall ready message. After you hit down on the D-pad, your Titan will drop into battle, and it takes several seconds to drop as indicated by the arrow in the circle. Once it's on the ground, you can either embark the Titan, as I stated earlier, by holding down X, or it will automatically go into auto mode after about 15 seconds. This is why that dome shield is useful. If you want the Titan to follow you, the circle showing the Titan walking will show up. If you'd rather have the Titan guard, then the circle will show the Titan shooting. You can toggle between the two again by pushing down on the D-pad. You can also see the health of your Titan as well in the outer ring of that circle. The bluish portion is the health. Once there is a red and yellow stripe pattern, the Titan is doomed and will die. When your Titan is in a doom state, it's basically Walking Dead, like that AMC show. The countdown will restart with your Titan as indicated by the wrench in the circle. There are pros and cons about getting actually into a Titan. Titans can't fit in some of the, more smaller spaces. For example, if you're playing Hardpoint Domination on both of the maps that we've played, which is Fracture and Angel City, the only domination spot which a Titan can actually capture is the C objective on Angel City. Otherwise, the other objectives, you can't fit a Titan in there. Additionally, a Titan is very slow and sluggish, and it just screams fucking shoot me from anywhere on the minimap. Additionally, if you're in your own Titan, that means there's one less pilot on the ground destroying the other enemy pilots and AI. However, your Titan in auto mode is certainly a lot less useful than if you're actually aboard your Titan and doing things. You could target out certain enemy Titans, or you can hold down certain areas much better than you could otherwise. Now let's go over the Titan controls since I've been talking about it for a little bit. You hold down X, like I said, to embark and exit the Titan. Up on the D-pad will eject your pilot from the Titan, and you'll want to do this when your Titan is in the doom state. The A button will make you dash since the Titan is too heavy like Honey Boo Boo's mom in order to actually be able to jump. Dashing is really useful to get out of a sticky situation, but remember, you can't jump with the Titan, you can only dash. Down on the D-pad will activate your damage core, which is sort of like the Titan point streak. Your weapons will do more damage for a short period of time. The right trigger will still fire your primary weapon, left trigger will still kind of ADS, the right bumper will fire your ordnance, the left bumper will use your tactical ability, same as the pilot controls. You can also hit the right stick, or again the B button if you aren't a fucking nubule, and make your Titan punch. It's hilarious to pimp smack a grunt while you're in the Titan. The weapons you use with the Titan, however, are very different, and you can actually customize your Titan just like you can customize your pilot. Your weapon will be either a chain gun, quad rockets, or semi-auto 40mm cannons. I prefer the chain gun only because it's not semi-auto like the other weapons, and it's got a lot of bullets, so reloads aren't really that often compared to the other two weapons. The ordnance is rocket salvos, which is an unguided rocket swarm. The tactical ability is a vortex shield, which will absorb the enemy fire just like a ShamWow. Basically, you hold down the left bumper to keep that shield up. Once you release the left bumper button, it's just like wringing out that sponge, and those bullets will be expelled back in the direction that you're looking. There's also 2 tiers of kits, just like the pilots. In tier 1, there's a regen booster, which will heal your Titan shields faster, and the nuclear ejection, which will make your Titan explode like fireworks on the 4th of July when you eject. Stay away from a Titan with nuclear ejection. You'll see it power up before exploding. Once you've destroyed that Titan, there's no tits. Just get the fuck out. In Tier 2, there's the Auto Eject, which will eject and cloak your pilot automatically when the Titan is in the Doom state, and the Survivor, which degrades your Titan slower when you're in the Doom state. This will give you more time to eject or maybe finish off that epic battle. When you're in a Titan, you should only try and take on one Titan at once. You're not a porn star, don't take on multiple of them. The announcer will actually say when you're engaging more than one Titan. The HUD is also different for a Titan than for pilots. The big white bar in the upper middle portion is your shield's health. It'll slowly regenerate, and it'll turn yellow and red striped when you're doomed. Towards the bottom middle is that dash indicator that I spoke about earlier. You have 2 dashes before recharging. When shooting another Titan, you can actually see its health bar in the upper right hand corner in small yellow boxes. In the lower right hand corner where the Titan circle is located now contains the countdown for the damage core streak that I alluded to earlier. You can get multiple damage cores in one life, but it's extremely difficult since the timer is set at 3 minutes per streak. One last thing when in a Titan. You'll be notified when your Titan is actually being rodeoed. What this means is an enemy pilot has jumped on the back of the Titan, pulled back part of the shield to damage the core. The only way to get the pilot off is to exit from the Titan and kill the pilot as a pilot. You'll get notified on the screen if somebody is actually rodeoing you in the upper right hand corner. If you are a pilot, you can actually do this rodeo maneuver simply by doing a double jump onto the back of the Titan. You'll automatically latch on and pull open the hatch to the soft spot. And just as a quick tip, don't use the Sidewinder. The blast radius will kill you. I've suicided once or twice from doing that. Use your primary weapon. The last thing I want to go over in this primer is the basics of the game modes. Attrition is basically TDM, and hardpoint domination is like domination. To my knowledge, the spawning system is random, but it's not like in Call of Duty that people spawn by their flags. Additionally, the AI is worth much less towards your overall score than a pilot or Titan. I think it's worth 1 point to kill a grunt for attrition as opposed to 4 for a pilot and 10 for a Titan. It may be fun to kill those grunts, but it's not really helping your team out. As you see here in this particular scoreboard, I actually killed 30 grunts, but yet the team still lost because those grunts aren't really worth that many points. Once the game is actually over, there's an epilogue sequence. In this sequence, all the players have one last life. The losing team must return to the arrival area to board the ship that will take the survivors away from battle. The winning team, however, must intercept the escapees and destroy the ship once it lands before it actually takes off. You'll get some extra points for escaping or destroying the ship in addition to any kills along the way. Anyways, Scrotum Sniffers, I know this is a pretty long-ass video, but I wanted to throw all of my information and knowledge I gained from doing 10 hours of alpha testing over to you guys when playing the beta, so you're not like a first-time tourist at Times Square. Seriously, I fucking hate people that just stand around in the middle of the sidewalk. This way, instead of taking it all in, you can take it to the other players. I think this video deserves a like, so smack that like button just like Chris Brown did to Rihanna. I've been the Schwantz27, making like a fetus and heading out. Until next time.